I woke up startled by the ringtone of a video call while I was in the hospital. The screen showed my mother-in-law's face. She was broadcasting from my room and smugly said, "Look at this, your room is empty now." Her tone was clearly mocking, and the scene of my belongings all gone was displayed. At first I couldn't understand what was happening, but everything became clear from my mother-in-law's expression and words. She had thrown away my belongings. We hadn't been getting along for a while, but I never thought she would go this far. "Since you wouldn't leave, I thought I'd give you a push. There's nowhere for you to return to once you're discharged," she said, and then she hung up the phone unilaterally. Being told that I had nowhere to return to after discharge, I was stunned by a mix of shock and anger for a while. I am an office worker in my 30s. My husband and I met at work where we were colleagues in the same department. Upon our marriage, he wanted to leave his job and work as a freelancer. I respected his enthusiasm and agreed to that. However, his income dropped significantly to less than that of a new employee. I stayed at the company, continuing to work hard, and as a result, I received promotions and raises, playing the role of supporting our household. My husband took on all the household chores, easing my burden. We conceived our first child soon after, and I took maternity leave, during which he enthusiastically handled both housework and childcare to support me. Marital roles vary, but ours was working reasonably well. Our first child was a girl and my husband doted on her. As she approached the age of joining the daycare, I hoped he would moderate the pampering, but we were expecting our second child, and my husband took over caring for our eldest daughter. My husband and daughter were overjoyed about accepting a new member in our family, and my daughter looked forward to becoming a big sister. We were living happily, but my mother-in-law's actions changed everything. One day, my father-in-law asked if they could stay with us for a month during renovations at his house. I had planned to send our daughter to my parents' house, but they were far away, so it was problematic. Thus, if my in-laws could help with household chores and childcare, I agreed to live together. We had a good relationship with my in-laws, so they accepted the proposal quickly. My mother-in-law even said, "You don't have to treat us like guests." It seemed that cohabitation would start smoothly. However, that was not the case. My mother-in-law could not stand our household system. She had quit her job and become a housewife upon marriage, and since then had a strong resistance to a man doing household chores. She couldn't bear to see my husband in the kitchen, preparing breakfast for his wife and child. "Why is my son doing such things? What hold do you have over him?" she yelled, causing our daughter to cry. I tried to pick up my daughter despite my pregnancy, but my husband quickly calmed her. Even this displeased my mother-in-law, who began to call me an unfit mother. Then one day when I returned from work, I saw my mother-in-law grumbling in the kitchen. She criticized my husband preparing dinner, saying, "It's shameful for a man to be in the kitchen." I sighed inwardly and wondered how to calm her anger. At that moment my father-in-law entered the kitchen slowly and said in a calm voice, "Times have changed. It's normal for men to do household chores now. Aren't you proud to see your son taking care of his family?" My mother-in-law was momentarily at a loss for words and then responded, but it was different in my time. However, she gradually softened under my father-in-law's persuasion. He continued, "It's important for the family to work together in life. I hope you can understand that and gradually accept it." My mother-in-law remained silent for a while, then nodded slightly. "I understand, but it's still hard for me to get used to." She showed a slightly softer expression. That evening's dinner was a bit more peaceful. Although my mother-in-law wasn't completely convinced, my father-in-law's words had certainly touched her heart. We began to harbor hope for building a new form of family life. Meanwhile, the bond between my husband and me also strengthened. He became my support, giving his all to protect our family. His devoted attitude was a great encouragement to me, and gave me the strength to face my mother-in-law's criticism. The bond with my father-in-law deepened as well. As a member of our family, he supported us and mediated between us and my mother-in-law. His support was crucial in overcoming the friction with her and building a new life. Our relationship with my mother-in-law remained challenging, but my father-in-law's presence gave us hope. He helped with the household chores and made efforts to support our life. His attitude served as a model for us, deepening our family bond. Throughout the cohabitation, we continued to explore a new form of family. My father-in-law's calm response to my mother-in-law's criticisms and dissatisfaction saved us. His words and actions were a beacon of hope for us, giving us the strength to move forward into the future. However, this life did not last long. Although my mother-in-law had temporarily calmed down due to my father-in-law's intervention, her attitude soon reverted to being hostile. And then she escalated her harassment and criticism of me. One morning, as I was preparing to go to work, my mother-in-law entered the kitchen. She coldly commented on the breakfast I had prepared, serving something like this: "You're an unfit mother." I sighed inwardly and tried to respond calmly, but her words pierced my heart. That night, I witnessed her deliberately ruining the meal I had prepared. She had intentionally burned the food I had prepped in the morning to avoid a hectic dinner time. "What are you doing?" Returning from work and seeing this, I couldn't help but raise my voice. My mother-in-law snorted and dismissively said, "This isn't fit to eat." I tried to remain calm while dealing with her, but her attitude only worsened. Both my husband and father-in-law sternly reprimanded her for her actions towards me, but she wouldn't listen. She insisted I am right and continued to disrupt our household. Her words and actions swung our family into constant turmoil, gradually building up stress. Despite repeated warnings from my father-in-law and husband, her behavior showed no signs of improvement. She continued to sabotage my cooking and even emptied the shampoo bottle before I could use it, escalating her harassment. Amid this, bad news arrived: the renovation was delayed, and they had to extend their stay with us for another month. That's too much. Hearing this, I reached my limit and decided to leave my mother-in-law's place after giving birth. There was no reason to endure her presence any longer. Thus, it happened that while I was in the hospital after delivering my second child, my mother-in-law called me. After she hung up the phone abruptly, I sat on the hospital bed, trying to organize my thoughts. All my belongings were gone. Her words echoed in my mind: "You have nowhere to return to after you're discharged." There had been conflicts with her before, but this time it was definitive. Her actions had crossed a line, and I felt there was no room for reconciliation. With a lot to consider for life after discharge, I regained some composure and contacted my husband to explain the situation. "Your mother seems to have thrown out all my things. Can you check the room for me?" He immediately went to check and was speechless. "It's true. I can't believe she went this far." My husband expressed his anger towards her actions and promised to take measures, but anxiety lingered in my heart. Our family couldn't continue like this. It was necessary to reassess our relationship with my mother-in-law and reconstruct our future lives. Later, my husband and I discussed retrieving my belongings in detail. He and my father-in-law acted together to recover as many of my possessions as possible, finding some discarded by the river behind our house. Although many items were damaged or ruined, they did their best to collect them. My father-in-law was furious with her behavior and apologized to me repeatedly. While I appreciated his stance, I felt the relationship with her was beyond repair. Her actions constituted illegal dumping, and my father-in-law was busy dealing with the aftermath. With my husband and father-in-law working together, I began to regain a positive outlook. My husband and I united to overcome this ordeal and resolved to distance ourselves from my mother-in-law. Leaving her at the old house, we planned to move and start anew. In order to be away from her without her noticing, we had no choice but to find another place to live. During my hospital stay, my father-in-law and husband hurriedly searched for a new home through real estate agencies. Upon discharge, I immediately headed to our new house. With the help of my father-in-law and husband, I was able to make a smooth transition to a new beginning. The new house was a luxurious mansion with a pool in a quiet residential area. Holding my newborn second daughter, I entered the room and took a deep breath, vowing internally, without being swayed by my mother-in-law's actions, our family will forge a new path. We also managed to reunite with our eldest daughter, who had been staying at my parents' house during my hospitalization. My father-in-law and husband prepared a simple meal, and we celebrated the birth modestly. Let's keep pushing forward. Yes, let's keep working together as a couple. Thus, our family rejoiced at the start of our new life. However, the relief was short-lived. That night, my husband's phone repeatedly received calls from my mother-in-law. After ignoring it for a while, he finally decided to answer with the speaker on. My mother-in-law's voice, filled with anger, resonated. Where are you guys? What is this about? There's nothing of yours here. Realizing our plan, she grew frantic and angry that our family's belongings were gone from the house. Mom, we just did what you said and left the house, my husband responded calmly. My mother-in-law shouted back, don't do whatever you want. She had somehow found out that we were living in a luxurious mansion with a pool, criticizing us for that. She accused me, my son isn't working to indulge you. But my husband immediately retorted, I'm the one being supported by my wife's earnings. It's her right to spend her money however she wants. Her assertive attitude slowed, and she was at a loss for words. Amid her unabated anger, my father-in-law took over the phone. Honey, enough is enough. This all happened because of your actions, he admonished her calmly. Darling, are you there too? What do you mean by leaving me alone? Though my mother-in-law lashed out at my father-in-law as well, he calmly responded. I just helped them move. I'll be staying here tonight, so you should take this time alone to reflect on your actions. Hearing this, my mother-in-law seemed deflated and had nothing more to say. Then the call ended. Thus, we were freed from my mother-in-law and able to start our new life. As a family, we united as one team and took a new step towards the future. Although the discord with her remained, our determination was unshaken. In this new environment, we renewed our commitment to build a happy home together. Life in our new home began, and we started to regain our daily rhythm. Thanks to my husband's support, household chores and parenting went smoothly, and I was able to focus on recovering my strength after childbirth. Meanwhile, after completing the renovation, my in-laws canceled the lease on our old residence and returned to their home. My father-in-law, having retired, found more time for new hobbies. He began attending cooking classes, improving his culinary skills, and occasionally visited us to try out new recipes. The dishes he prepared were not only beautiful but delicious. His cooking became a new joy for our family, and it deepened the bond between us. My husband also enjoyed his new roles within the family. He actively participated in cooking and engaging with our children in their play and education. Our daughters looked forward to spending time with their father, eagerly anticipating their playtime together. On weekends, we went to the park as a family, enjoying picnics and cycling together. I returned to work and enjoyed balancing my new life with a supportive husband, which allowed me more time to focus on my career and take on new challenges. At work, I tackled new projects and achieved success, which led to personal growth. One day, we decided to throw a big party to celebrate our daughter's growth and showcase my father-in-law's culinary skills. It was an occasion that brought our family together, including my mother-in-law, for the first time in a long while. I was nervous about seeing her again, but those worries were unfounded. During the party, my mother-in-law unexpectedly approached me and said, "You're really doing well." Her rare compliment meant a lot to me and seemed to shine a ray of light on our relationship. We enjoyed a pleasant time together. While our relationship with her was not completely healed, we continued to make efforts to understand and come closer to each other. Supported by my father-in-law's help and my husband's love, we enjoyed our new life while steadily moving forward into the future. Months later, my father-in-law shared unexpected news. One evening, he visited our new home with a calm expression but eyes full of resolve. We gathered in the living room to talk. He started slowly, "I truly appreciate you all. Even with the issues with my wife, I feel proud that as a family we've come this far together." We were touched by his words, but his next statement was surprising. In fact, to reconsider my relationship with my wife, I've decided to make a new start too. It took us a moment to understand what he meant. "What do you mean?" my husband asked. My father-in-law sighed deeply before explaining. "I've been with my wife for a long time, but seeing her actions while living with you made me realize she needs a new start in a new environment. To support that, I've decided to live separately for a while. I'm considering a separation." We were shocked, but we felt the deep love and responsibility behind his decision. He had chosen to start anew to help her gain independence and time for self-reflection. "I plan to find a new place close to here. I want to keep supporting you all from nearby," he said. We were filled with a sense of relief and gratitude. His decision brought significant change, but it felt like the best path for all of us. We believed that by starting their new lives separately, both my mother-in-law and father-in-law could grow and build a better relationship. As he prepared to move into his new home, we supported him fully. When the day came, we helped him move, celebrating the start of his new life. His new home was close to ours, a place where we could continue to deepen our family bonds. Although the issues with my mother-in-law were not completely resolved, we felt empowered to move forward. After my father-in-law settled into his new home, we visited often, cherishing our time together. His presence was a substantial support for us, and with his wisdom and experience, our family continued to grow. As my father-in-law adjusted to his new life, my mother-in-law was forced to adapt to living alone. She struggled to fit into her new environment and, given her age, found it challenging to find suitable employment. Having been a homemaker for many years, my mother-in-law had little job experience. She had worked briefly before her marriage, but those experiences were now outdated. Additionally, she lacked the skills to adapt to the modern workplace environment. Initially, she searched for clerical and part-time jobs, but each application was met with rejection, gradually leading to her discouragement. Her age and lack of work experience became significant barriers to finding employment. One day, she called my father-in-law to share her struggles. "I can't find a job. It's just too hard for me," she said tearfully. My father-in-law listened calmly and encouraged her, suggesting they think of a new solution together. He recommended that she try working in a home cleaning service, considering her years of experience managing a household. He thought she could adapt to supporting other families with her domestic skills. Initially hesitant, she was persuaded by him to apply. She went for an interview at a home cleaning service company and highlighted her experiences. The interviewer sensed her enthusiasm and decided to hire her on a trial basis. Facing many challenges in her new job, her housekeeping skills were not always up to professional standards, and she received tough feedback and complaints from clients. However, she did not give up and continued to work hard every day. Seeing her efforts, my father-in-law kept encouraging her. "You have years of experience in homemaking, so you should be confident," he advised, boosting her confidence. Gradually, she began to feel more assured about her work and slowly adapted to her job. Our family also kept an eye on her situation and supported her. Since my father-in-law lived nearby, we often visited his home to talk together about how she was doing. My husband said, "It's great that Mom is working so hard," and we all praised her efforts. Over time, my mother-in-law grew accustomed to her job in home care, and her customer ratings began to improve. Her perseverance paid off, and her confidence in her new role increased. She would say with a smile, "I'm still learning, but I'm doing my best." As she began to adapt to her new life, our family gradually regained a sense of reassurance. The relationship between my father-in-law and mother-in-law also improved, and they began to support each other in their new lives. Meanwhile, I balanced work and child care with my husband's cooperation. He actively participated in parenting, cherishing time with our daughters. From preparing breakfast to changing diapers and putting them to bed at night, my husband and I shared responsibilities, enjoying our days filled with smiles. One morning, we decided to go to the park together. Under the clear sky, our daughters played joyfully, while we enjoyed a peaceful time watching them. My husband played with the girls on the swings and slides, and I captured these joyful moments with my camera, recording the smiles that filled our family. My father-in-law often visited our home, enjoying time spent together. He continued to improve his cooking skills and occasionally treated us to delicious meals. The times we gathered around the dinner table enjoying his dishes were precious moments that deepened our family bonds. We occasionally received calls from my mother-in-law, sharing updates and expressing gratitude. We acknowledged her efforts and continued to encourage her. One evening, while we were having dinner, a message from my mother-in-law arrived on my phone. It contained her words of gratitude and determination for her new life. "Thanks to all of you, I was able to make a fresh start. I still have a lot to learn, but I will do my best. Please continue to support me." These words warmed our hearts. As we read the message from her, we reaffirmed our family bonds. We had overcome past frictions and difficulties and were now starting to walk toward a new future. Although the relationship with my mother-in-law was not fully mended, we renewed our commitment to respect and support each other. As the night deepened and our daughters fell asleep, my husband and I spent a quiet moment in the living room. He said, "Let's keep striving together as a family," holding my hand and smiling gently. I nodded deeply, embracing hope for the future. Despite the challenges we faced over the past year, we were able to start anew. Looking at my husband, who was gently holding my hand, I wished we would be able to continue moving forward into the future, cherishing our family bond and feeling hopeful and loved. We pledged to continue our journey as a family, step by step, and kept moving towards our future.